Okay, so a lot of people don't know this, but I moved to Southern California for work. Again, I don't think a lot of people knew this because I didn't speak much about it, but I moved here back in June of 2019 from Chicago. So I've been here for over half a year, 7 months. And I'll be honest with you, I was at a weird place in my life. I really wasn't sure where I was going. I also wasn't sure what I was doing or what I wanted to do. All I knew is that I wanted to do creative shit. I mean, that's it. By the end of 2018 and then the beginning of 2019, I had pretty much left YouTube again. And a big part of that was because I ran out of money. But an even bigger part of that was because I was dealing with my own demons. If you guys are new to my channel and you're not really familiar with who I am or what I'm about, I do suffer from depression. And then that kind of ties in with an eating disorder that I have as well. They both kind of work together. And at that time, specifically around that time, it was getting pretty bad, which is, again, why I had left YouTube, a big part of it. But I needed a job. I had to pay bills, I had rent to pay. And, well, I was lucky enough to find a group of guys that I could work with. And let me rewind back a little bit because at the time when I was looking for a job, I really didn't want a corporate gig. I worked in corporate for like 13 years, worked in IT, quit that, and then trying to find another job, it's not what I wanted. But I did find these guys and it ended up being a job in social media marketing or influencer marketing. So it was kind of up my alley because I guess I'm kind of an influencer. And so I started this job in Chicago and then fast forward a few months later and our company decided to move to Southern California. And we ended up in Long Beach specifically, but we were only supposed to be here for an undetermined amount of time, like a couple months, I guess, and at an undetermined location. All we knew is we wanted to be somewhere in Southern California and then stick it out here for, I don't know, a year or two. But again, we fast forward a couple months and I ended up quitting. Now, I won't get into the details here because that's not really your business and that's not something that it's just not your business. But let me just put it simply, really all I was trying to do was find a creative gig where I could do creative shit and work with good people without having to feel like I was selling out or doing some we'll just leave it at that. But it was also at that time when I quit, when I realized that I just want to do YouTube. I just want to do my channel and finally really give my 100% and see where it goes. Now, I'll get into how or why I got back into that mindset, but let me explain. So as weird as it sounds, I had a revelation and what I ended up doing is I put 3 things on my priority list. Number 1, health. Number 2, happiness. And number 3, creating a good relationship with people. That's it. Those are the 3 things. So let's start with number 1, which is health. And if you haven't noticed, I lost a little weight. In the first 2.5 months when I had started, I lost about 50 pounds. And it's been about 4.5 months now. I've been very consistent and I'm down about 60, 65 pounds. Kind of just in between there. I started at 220. I'm at around 155 to 160, kind of varies, but I still have a bit more to go. I'm gonna get there. It's a slower crawl at this point. But I can't even really put into words about how proud I am of how far I've gotten, how much progress I've gotten. And I'm not talking about just the number on the scale, but how I got there. And again, that's because I started prioritizing different things. The reason that I put health as number 1 is because without your health, you don't have shit. You don't. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have your health, who cares? What's the point? And not that money even matters to me in that regard anyway, or at least on that high of a priority, because I walked away from a 13-year career in IT. I walked away from this job. money is not the number one motivator for me. And that's the thing, you know, when I had my IT job, I was always chasing money. That was like my focus back when I was younger. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that we're just addicted to shit. You know, we buy shit all the time, and once we get bored of it, we have to buy more. It's like we get addicted to money, and I don't want to live that life. Yes, I know. I'm a tech reviewer, right? I review phones, I review tech shit, and that costs money. And it's kind of why I've been trying to think if I need to revamp what I do, but I still love tech. I still love phones, and I'm just trying to tread that line. I just don't want to put consumerism over everything else because I just don't like that way of life. So number 2 is happiness, and that's pretty straightforward, just being happy. But I'll put it this way. Health and happiness, they go hand in hand, because if my health or my happiness is affected by people, right? If they're negatively affecting me, then I have to do one of two things. I either have to fix that or I have to let that go. So if, for example, if a job is negatively affecting my health or my happiness, bye. I mean, that's the easiest way. I'm gone. And then number 3 is building good relationships with people. I'm at the point of my life where all I want is to be good and then to do good with others. I feel like that's something that I do already, but I want to prioritize it in a much better way. You know, I don't have to be friends with everybody, but I want to cherish the relationships I have with the people I care about, and then build new relationships with people, again, that I will eventually end up caring about. Like, that's important to me. And notice how these priorities has nothing to do about money or being materialistic or climbing a ladder. I'm done with it. I'm done with that kind of success. That's not what motivates me. That's not what should really motivate anybody, but I don't know, to each his own, whatever. I came out here for a job, and I'm leaving this place with a fresh outlook on my life. And that fresh outlook is going back to Chicago. If I didn't move out here, I don't even know if I was gonna find those answers. I did find myself alone here a lot, but I also found myself. Does that make sense? You know, I found out how to be healthy. I found out how to be happy. And then when I go home, I am hoping that I can find out how to build better relationships, fix relationships. That's what I want at this point. And still do creative shit. Don't get me wrong. I still want to do something creative. I still want to stick with YouTube. I just have to find a way to balance it all out. Now, before I end this, I do want to thank everybody that tried to get me to stay here in Southern California. I'm not gonna lie, I had opportunities. There was a moment where I was like, okay, I quit. Maybe I just need to find another creative gig. And I apologize for those opportunities that came to me, the chance for me to stay. And I feel like I wasted people's time doing these interviews, but I don't know, there was a point where I had that light bulb moment where I was like, no, I want to keep doing YouTube. I want to see where it goes. If it goes somewhere, great. If it doesn't, in however amount of time I haven't figured that part out yet, then I move on, you know, but at least I stuck it through this time instead of coming and going and coming and going. And I know a big part of that was, you know, my depression, my eating disorder stuff, but I'm good now. Like, that is something that I can't even put into words how happy that makes me, that I've been able to figure this shit out that I've had an issue with for decades. And now that it's in the past, it's behind me, I can actually give YouTube like my 100%. Again, I do want to thank the relationships that I built out here. Hopefully that's something that I can take with me when I go back to Chicago. The only regret that I do have is saying goodbye to my cousin Trin, her husband John, and the boys. That is the one truly thing I'm gonna miss going back home. Now, this is my cousin and her husband. I mean, they're from Chicago. They've been out here in Southern California for a while now, and this is their home. It's not my home. And they tried so hard to get me to stay. And again, I'm so thankful for that, but I got some shit to do back home. Also, to my cousin RJ in San Diego, I'm sorry we didn't have a lot more time to spend with each other, but again, I'll be coming back soon. Now, by the time this publishes, I should be driving back to Chicago. I should be on my 30-hour trip. So I'll see you guys on Monday.
You have to be your biggest fan. And when things are really tough and they're really rough and nothing's working, but there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that. Because you don't know who you're gonna meet, who you're gonna meet, who you're because you don't know who you're gonna meet, who you're have to be your biggest fan. And when things are really tough and they're really rough and nothing's working, but there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that. Because you don't know who you're